everyone, welcome to the Eldenwood Craft channel. My name's Emma, I'm a maker and the owner of Eldenwood Craft, where I make and sell handmade project bags for makers. I am coming to you today, which is Wednesday the 15th of June, from my studio here in Somerset in the UK. It's a gloriously sunny day. I have got the window open, so there might be a little bit of background noise, hopefully not. But yeah, I'm in the house alone today. It's been a few weeks since I recorded, so I thought, right, I'm just going to get on and we're going to do it. So if you haven't been here before, this is where I get to chat to you about what I've been making, usually knitting, since my last video, and I've got quite a few things to show you, so let's get cracking. Just a little bit of admin before I do show you what I've been making. And really just to say that the year-long make-along, the Eldenwood Craft Make 9 make-along for 2022 is in full swing. All the details of that will be in the description box underneath the video and over on the Ravelry threads. There is a way into the make-along if you don't use Ravelry, and that will be down below as well. I should also say that I've started to put more detailed show notes on my website, and you can access that in the description box down below as well, along with all the other places that you can find me online. Anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to say that the Make 9 is trotting along nicely. Next time I record, which will be the July video, I'll be drawing the prize winner for the April, May, June entries. So you've got until the end of this month to enter any completed finished objects into the Ravelry thread. Right, on with the good stuff, on with what you're here to see today and the knitting. So I'm going to start off with finished objects. I've got quite a few actually. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 things to show you. That's not bad going, and they're all here, I think. So let's just start off with what's on the top of the pile. So these glorious socks are finished. I showed these in my last video, and I said I thought these would be hanging around for quite a while because I had other things that I wanted to work on, and these were going to sort of be background knitting. However, I enjoyed knitting them so much. They are such fun, it's such beautiful fun yarn that I just couldn't stop knitting on them. So these are, just there's the second one, these are plain vanilla socks, knit in Giddy Yarns. There's her ball band, and it's the Hove Actually colourway, which is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon. And the colourway is inspired by the beach huts down in Hove near Brighton. I knit longer socks actually than I normally knit. I quite like shorter socks, but I just wanted to use up more of this yarn because it's so delicious. Looks like an ice cream, doesn't it, a bit? No, it doesn't. It does look like beach huts. What am I talking about? Anyway, so I did a 1x1 rib. I then knit a complete tube down to the toe, and it did a wedge toe, and then I inserted the umbrella heel, which is an afterthought heel from Kay Jones's umbrella socks pattern. I quite like the umbrella afterthought heel. It's a nice big chunky heel that seems to fit my heel quite nicely. So I knit a total of 140 rounds from the start of the leg to where the toe would go in, and that gave me about 70 rounds for the leg and 70 rounds for the foot. I'm a UK size 6, and I knit these on 2.25mm needles. This is the yarn I've got left, so I could have knit for a lot longer. I don't really know why I didn't, because I was really enjoying knitting on these. but I can use those for something else. I think the total, did the total of these come to about 60 grams? So I've got about 40 grams left. So that would make a nice pair of something like Rose City rollers if I was to use a contrast heel or a contrast toe. So yeah, one pair of finished, really nice summery socks that will get worn in the winter or in the autumn. Have I got anything else to say on those? No. Oh, the heel, should just say, the heel is West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply, and I think it's something like the milk bottle or milk colourway. It's their not quite white colourway. Looks pretty, doesn't it? There we go. So one pair of socks off the needles. And I have another pair of socks off the needles, if I can find the ball band for this. And okay. Try to be organised with how I've set everything out today, so we'll see how that goes. Right. Sock number, or pair of socks number 2 off the needles. This is a very special pair of socks. There is sock number 2, finished, just for accountability. So this pair of socks was a new cast on since I last recorded. A 1x1 rib. Can't quite remember how many, I think it may have been about between 40 and 50 rows for the leg. The heel is the Shadow Wrap heel by Denise Dos Santos, who is Earth Tones Girl on Instagram and on YouTube. She has such a good podcast, one of my favourites, as does Helen at Giddy Yarns, also one of my favourite podcasters. So yeah, if you don't know either of those two, do go and check them out. They're excellent podcasters. Anyway, back to the sock. So yeah, the Shadow Wrap heel, which is a short row heel, and I'd heard a lot of good things about it, so I was quite keen to give it a go. And a contrast, just standard wedge toe. The special thing about these socks is how they came into being. So the yarn is from lovely Shannon at Blue Fern Yarns, who also has a really good podcast. And these are the Party in the Park socks. The base is Shannon's Platinum base, which is another 75/25 superwash merino nylon. Here is what I have left. And here is the mini, or what's left of the mini that went with the sock set. Now some of you will recognise or will be beginning to understand what this is. So this sock, that yarn goes with this bag, which is a bag that I made, and it was a collaboration that Shannon and I did back in June. You got skein of yarn or a sock set in that colourway with the mini and the bag, and these are about to be sent out. They'll be sent out to, it was a pre-order collaboration, and I'm just finishing off making all the bags. They're there, and they will be sent out to you if you ordered one of those, and thank you very much if you did. They should be gone from both of our shops in a couple of weeks. Yeah, week beginning the 27th of June, and I'm away for the latter half, so I'll be sending mine out the first part of that week. So that yarn, Shannon, I know, was really chuffed with it, and I think it is absolutely gorgeous. It's designed to complement the bag, and I think you can see that it does that really nicely. It's a sort of silvery, bluey, greeny background with some lovely highlights, speckles of greens, and then the brown contrasting mini I think is gorgeous. I'd like a jumper in that. Anyway, yeah, so there, and there's just a nice look at the bag. Really cute. Hedgehogs and rabbits, or hares probably, and owls and toadstools and trees and bunting. Yeah, it was a really fun collaboration. I really enjoyed working with Shannon. Really enjoyed using her yarn, and you'll see some more of it shortly actually. Yeah, so that's finished object number 2. Finished object number 3 is a cowl. Again, another cast on that you didn't see, that was new since my last video, and it's this. See what you can see. There we go. This is the Leftover City cowl. Leftover City cowl? Yeah, the Leftover City cowl. I need to look up who it's by. It's by Casey Herlihy. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It's knit in fingering weight yarn, although you could knit it in any weight yarn really. And it's a really good stash buster. It's knit using minis. I can't remember how many the minis the pattern recommended, but I have used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minis. I think the pattern may have called for 8. And cast on, and it's really simple. A block of colour, some colour work, another block of colour work, and so on until you have done, till you have finished. The minis that I used were a random assortment of what I would call my good minis, the ones that I have been saving, and I've had this pattern at the back of my mind for quite a long time. I really wanted to knit it. Can't remember whose version it was that I had seen on Instagram, but there was one, I think it may have been Travel Knitter. She had put together a kit, and it just really stood out and stuck in my mind. So yeah, but yeah, so I used my good minis, and there's a selection from Botanical Yarn, Loom have got a couple in here, Loom Wool, 5 Moons, there's a couple of there's 1 5 Moons, and there's a Colourful Creativity as well. That blue, oh I love that. Bluey greeny tealy colour, isn't it? I love all these colours. I was a little bit worried that this sort of heathery colour and the brown wouldn't contrast enough, and I think I'd just about get away with it. It's a little bit low contrast, but when it's all scrooshed up around my neck, you won't really notice that, will you? This took me, oh, when did I start it? I started it on, well, I started it in, I don't know when I started it, but I started it in early June, and it took me about 8 days to knit in total. It was one of those ones that I didn't want to put down. So really, really chuffed with that. It's quite a close fitting cowl, which I quite like. It'll go nicely under a coat, pop out over the top, and it'll be quite nice just to wear around the house when it's a bit cooler in the winter. Really like it. Very tempted to make another one actually. You could, my cogs were whirring there, you could, if you didn't want all the minis, you could just knit it out of 2 colours, couldn't you? You could have a main skein and a contrast. You could do all sorts of things with it. Lots of ends to weave in, but I weaved them in as I went, which I was quite pleased about. Didn't block it out terribly well. You can see that's all wavy, but again, once it's on, you won't notice that. So there we go, the Leftover City cowl by Casey Herlihy. Highly, highly recommend it. And then my final finished object is a project that you saw on my last episode, or maybe the episode before. It's the Musselburgh hat, which is a pattern by Isolde Teague. It's a really clever pattern. You can knit it in any gauge and out of any yarn, and the pattern provides you with all the stitch counts you need for any gauge and any yarn. It's really clever. You start in, normally with a hat you start knitting here, don't you? But with this hat you start knitting there and you work out. Here, shall I show it to you? Here it is. So I started knitting here, I knit down here, and then I changed my yarn and finished knitting at this end. So it's a symmetrical hat. You start with a small cast on and you then knit a tube and decrease as you would do a normal hat until you've just got a few stitches on, and then pull them through. And then you tuck one half inside the other, so you've got a hat to wear. Haven't done that very well, and that is my problem with this hat. I love the yarn. So I should say this yarn that you can see is another self-striping from Helen at Giddy Yarns in her Indiana Jones colourway. I absolutely adore this yarn. I knit a pair of fingerless gloves out of it a couple of years ago, and I have worn those like they're going out of fashion. So I thought it would be nice to have a matching hat, and I love the way it's knit up in this. This yarn is an unidentified, well, I'm not sure where the skein is from, but I do know that it's a merino silk nylon blend, and it's an undyed yak. Sorry, merino silk nylon. No, it's not. It's a merino yak silk, undyed. Absolutely beautiful as well. The drape on it and the sheen on it and the feel of it, I just love it. I'm a huge fan of the yak base, but just don't really like how the hat works. I think it's a clever idea, and yeah, what am I trying to say? I just don't like the way it all fits together. And I don't know if that's because I've chosen two very different bases, and this yak, because of the silk content, it's a bit slippy, so the two don't really sit together very well. I suppose I could turn it out and wear it that way round, but I want to see that. The pattern itself does suggest that you want to knit it a bit longer and turn it over so you've got a brim. I didn't want to do that because I have another hat pattern that I really like, which is the Midas Touch hat. I've knit a couple of those, which you will have seen in earlier episodes, and I really, really like that hat. I think it looks okay on me. I'm not the biggest, I don't think a lot of hats suit me particularly well. I like wearing that and I feel comfortable and confident in it. So I decided not to put the brim on this one. The Midas hat doesn't have a brim. It's just basic, it's a, I don't know what you call it, a beanie maybe. So I thought I would do the same with this, but the idea being that it's a little bit warmer because it's a double layer. But it's just not working for me. So I will have to decide what I do. I had half thought actually about somehow securing the inside to the outside through here. I don't want to put a pom-pom on. I don't really do pom-poms, but I thought that if I could secure it somehow, that would stop it slipping around. So I might try that. But there's no real hurry because I'm obviously not going to wear it until it gets much colder, probably November, December time. So we will see. I'm going to go and put it in my pile. Have you got one of those? My pile is growing, and I'm thinking about doing a video about that. Things that I've made that I was really keen on, and now not so sure. Anyway, we'll not talk about those at the moment. That will come at a future date. Most of them are winter garments, so that might be, I might record something in the autumn about those. Anyway, do let me know if you've got a pile. Be interested to know. So yeah, so the Musselburgh hat. Great idea, and if the ones that I've seen on Instagram and on the pattern pages on Ravelry and so on do kind of work. They look, I don't know, I'm just not very happy about it. So we'll give it some time to marinate and stew and see how I feel about it later in the year. Right, that is all of my finished objects. Let's go on to whips. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 whips, one of which you have seen before, which is sitting over here. And this is my Bits and Bobs blanket. Now the Bits and Bobs blanket is a pattern by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. I started this just before I started recording my last podcast, and then I'd knit probably 4 inches or so. Just sorting out my yarn management so I can show it to you properly. I'm going to fold it in half, and that is how much I have done since I last recorded. I adore this pattern, this project. Look at it. Oh goodness me. You'll have to excuse all the ends. I haven't sewn a lot of them in. Maybe I'll do that after this. It's nice. I quite like sewing them in as I go, and I've done that in the bottom section, but not recently. Here it is, full width. It's all squished up on the needle, so you can't see the full width really. I love it so much. I am so happy with this project. So it's a blanket with yarn held double. My main yarn, not my main yarn, so I'm holding one yarn consistently through the whole project, which is this. It's my old favourite Drops Nord in colourway 04, which I think is light grey. Not going to focus, never mind. So that light grey is held with bits and bobs, so random minis, leftovers. I've got a big bag and a big bottle full of minis, and I'm just picking them out as I go. There's not a lot of colour management going on. The only thing I'm doing really is trying not to have two minis the same colour next to each other, and I'm trying not to have too many darker colours near each other. But otherwise I'm using small scraps of yarn, like this little purple section here and the brown, and then there's some bigger sections where I've got bigger leftovers. And the texture, oh, I love it. Can you tell? I really enjoy working on this. There was a time 3 or 4 weeks ago where this was all I knit on, hence I've done quite a chunk of it. Okay, camera cut out because I've been recording for about half an hour. Yeah, I was just going to say, I suspect I won't share that with you every podcast, and actually probably over the summer I may not knit on it very much because I've got some other projects that I want to make some progress on, which you will see now. Right, first project, let me start with the smallest. Another pair of socks. These are going to be quite challenging to show you because there's a lot of ends, so that will tell you that it's a stripy sock, self-striping sock, and it's lovely Shannon's yarn again from Blue Fern Yarns. And here is the progress that I have made. You're going to see a short sock and an awful lot of ends. So I hope this works right. there is the sock as it is at the moment. And there are all the ends that need weaving in. I wonder if it will work that way. Oh, look at the lovely yarn. So, I'm knitting concurrently. So I've got loads of ends. The good thing is though, I'm weaving my ends in as I go. Yeah, so all these just need cutting out. Oh, gone blurry, hello. Hello, there we go. Yeah, they just need cutting out because they are all woven in. Right, the yarn. This is, as I said, it's from Blue Fern Yarns. It's, Shannon has a monthly yarn club and she calls it her palette packs. And this yarn is from her January palette pack. Now, it's 5 skeins. I'm using 1 skein for the heels, toes and cuffs, which is that grey. It's got a little bit of, has it got a little bit of the pinky? Yeah, it's a sort of a very slightly mauvey grey. And then the remaining 4 skeins from the pack are going into the stripes. Now one of them is attached to a sock and it's another grey, a lighter grey this time. And the other 3 are these lovely. So there's a pink and 2 greens. There's a lighter green and a darker green. And I love these colours so much. It's just working up into a really beautiful striped sock. Really enjoying working on these. So I've knit about 8 to 10 rounds of 1 by 1 rib. I can't quite remember how many. And then I have worked out, kind of roughly, I hope this works, that each stripe needs to be about 9 rounds in total before I change colour. So I did 9 rounds of the green at the on the leg, and then I knit a heel flap, turn the heel. I did a Dutch heel, not done a Dutch heel before, I don't think. Square heel, which is quite pretty. I saw someone do it. Was it Kay Jones on, was it the Bakery Bears were talking about Dutch heels? Can't quite remember. Anyway, and then I did 9 rounds of the pink, 9 rounds of the green. I'm on to the grey. And I hope that that's going to be enough. I'm hoping the striping sequence will work out so that I finish at the end or as near to an end of a striped section before I start the toes. Oh, I've got a sniffle. Right, so those are that's my sock that I've got on the go at the moment. Did I have anything else to say about those? Normally, I do a 60 stitch sock. But for some reason I cast on 64 stitches for those, so I hope they're not going to be too big. It's a bit too late to reduce them down to 60 stitches for the foot now, because I'm kind of halfway down the foot. Maybe not quite that, but anyway, we'll see. So yes, that's my sock project on the go. Next up, what shall I show you next? I will show you my current sweater project. There's not much to see of this. Right, this is a sweater for Dennis, my husband. We talked quite extensively about knitting him a jumper for the winter, and this followed on because I shrunk one of his sweaters in the washing machine not so long ago. It was it wasn't a hand knit sweater, it was just like a lamb's wool sweater from Marks and Spencer's, I think, I don't know. So to pay him back I said, look, let me make you something to replace it. So he's quite fussy with his colours and his style. He likes simple like I do. So we've opted for the flax sweater without the garter section on the sleeves. And the yarn that we're using, I've seen a few podcasters talk about this recently, and it's this. It's from King Cole, and it's Forest. And this is, if I believe rightly, yeah, it's a, as it says on the ball band, it's a recycled yarn. So it says it's 35% wool, 20% acrylic, 20% polyamide and 25% viscose. It doesn't say what the recycled element is, but hey. It's 100 grams and you get 300 meters. It's classified as an Aran weight. I'm not 100% sure that 300 meters is a pure Aran, but hey, we'll go with it. And can you see there's some nice sort of tweedy neps in there. There's some blues and some yellows and some rust colours. It feels, I was a little bit worried about how the yarn would feel, but it's fine. It's not scratchy, and I think it will probably wash up quite nicely. And here it is in its current state. There we go. Not much to see really, is there? So I have opted to knit the version like I did for my, in my last video I showed you that I had finished a flax for myself. I knit that out of Drops Nord, and I knit the neckband on afterwards and did a double neckband, and I really liked that, so I thought I would do the same for Dennis's sweater. But I've not made a lot of progress. He's bigger than me, so there's a few more stitches on the needles. Not showing very well at all. Yeah, I don't even know why I'm bothering to try. But it knits up really nicely. I'm quite impressed with the yarn, I have to say. I would be tempted to get some of this for myself. They've got some nice shades. They've got a really nice green and a blue. And it's really cheap. It's like the ball was, each ball, I think I got this from Wool Warehouse and it was £3.99 for a ball, which is really good value. And I thought, seeing as this is the first time I've knit anything for Dennis, well, I'm not going to use any of my decent yarn, just in case he doesn't like it or he doesn't look after it properly. So I think this will probably go in the washing machine quite happily. And if it doesn't go in the washing machine quite happily, it's not the end of the world. It's my time that I've lost, but the yeah, it won't be like I've spent a lot of money on making this, but my time and my love will have gone into it. Anyway, yeah, so I'd like to get this knit up for maybe October time, October-November time, which is when he'll start to wear his jumpers again. So I will share my progress on that. But yeah, that's a really good option for a cheap yarn if you're interested. The it's called Forest, and all the colourways are named after different forests in the UK. So that one, I think, did I see this was Epping Forest? Yeah, this is the Epping Forest colourway. Yeah, chuffed with that. Right. My other work in progress, is this my last one? Bits and bobs, flax for Dennis, socks, yeah, so this is my other work in progress that I've got on the go at the moment. Now, in my last video I asked you for suggestions for a lightweight, so a lace weight wrap, big wrap, that wasn't full of lace work, something a little bit more, something quite simple, not too intricately lacy. You guys came up trumps, thank you very much. I've got a long list of lace weight wraps that I'd like to knit in the future. Wow, you were brilliant, thank you. Who knew there were so many out there? But the one that I have opted for is the Lanes wrap pattern by Julie Hoover, and I will pop a picture up here to show you what it looks like, because I don't have a printed version of it. And then I had to decide what yarn to knit it in, and I looked and looked and looked. I didn't want anything, I didn't want mohair or anything like that. I needed a lace weight yarn. I thought I was going to knit it out of Isaiah Alpaca 1, but I couldn't quite find, online I couldn't quite find the colour that I wanted. I had in mind a sort of very neutral, beigey or very pale light green. So let me go back a step. The purpose of the wrap, I'm going to a wedding in October in or just outside Barcelona. So I wanted something to keep me warm in the evening should I need it. And I bought my dress excitedly, and it's from Sea Salt. It's dark green, it's full length, dark green with sort of some dipsy flowers in a light green, and neutral and a very pale pink. It's lovely. I kind of want to wear it this summer, but I'm not going to. I'm going to save it for good. So I thought, well, do I want a dark green wrap? Do I want a pale green wrap? I just couldn't decide. And then this weekend I went to the John Arbon Mill open weekend with my friend Sarah, and had just the best day. The Mill open weekend is an opportunity to go inside the inner workings of John Arbon yarns, and they show you all around their mill, and you see all the fleece as it comes off the sheep, and then they send it off up to was it Bradford, I think, to be worked on, to be cleaned, scoured, carded, and then it comes back and dyed, and then it comes back down to the mill in Devon, and it gets technical terms are going to escape me, but it gets spun up into the yarn that we know and love as John Arbon yarn. And you saw the whole process of the spinning on the different machines, and then how it gets skeined up. Really interested me that when you place an order directly with John Arbon, they don't have skeins of yarn sitting on their shelves ready to ship out. They take a cone of yarn and they skein up your yarn from that cone and then ship it out, which I thought was quite, it's almost like a handmade touch, isn't it? And this is a big business, but it kind of felt like a nice handmade touch. They obviously do that for efficiency and for looking after the yarn and yarn management and stock control and that sort of thing. But that just pleased me very much. And also at the Mill Open weekend they had a small yarn fair. So they obviously had their own yarn for sale, and there was I forget the name of the company, but something like Provenance Craft Co. My friend Sarah knew the owner of that, so we had a chat with her, and she had some lovely books and wooden notions and things like that, and some really nice stuff. And there was Daughter of a Shepherd, and some other bits and pieces. So it was a really lovely event. If you have not been to the Mill Open weekend and can possibly get down to Devon next time they have one, I highly recommend it. I would love to go back. Anyway, I went knowing that they had some yarn for sale. I went hoping that I might find some yarn to buy for my wrap, and I did. I didn't get a green or a beige or a light pink. Oops, this has come out of its skein. Let me show you nice one. What I went for was a blue. There's a surprise. And I have gone for the John Arbon Alpaca Supreme Heavy Lace. This is the colour Azurite. Oops. Showing up pretty true to colour there. It's kind of a denim-y colour, I'd say. So this is 40% superfine alpaca. It is very soft. 40% organically farmed Falklands merino and 21% A1 mulberry silk. So you can imagine how soft it is. It's a 50-gram skein and there are 300 meters per skein. So I bought 4 of these to make the wrap and I cast on the wrap and here it is. Oops. Again, like the sweater, this isn't going to look fantastic because it's all curled up, but oh, look at that. So I'm stretching it out a bit. So this is basically it for the whole of the wrap. It's that looks a bit weird, doesn't it? So it's basically stocking stitch with some detailed stitching every so often. It's meant to be, I don't know that this will, if you'll even notice the difference, but it's meant to be that the reverse stockinette side is the right side and the what you would call the normal side of stockinette is the back. We'll see how I wear it, I don't know. But that's going to stretch out, block out really beautifully. It's got a lovely 2-stitch I-cord edging on each side, which is why the edges are not curling in. And it's yeah, it's a really simple pattern to memorize, and it's, yeah, I mean, it's not the most exciting of knits, but there's just enough to keep your interest going. And I tell you what, it's going to need that interest because it's a two row pattern repeat and you have to knit 602 rows or until you've got the wrap to the length that you want. And I suspect I will probably go on a little bit longer than 602 rows because I want to use up all of this yarn, and I bought more yarn than the pattern called for just in case. So yeah, 602 rows, blimey, that's a lot. However, I've worked out that I need to knit roughly 35 rows each week to get me to the beginning of October, and then that gives me time to block and get it into a wearable state. Yeah, it's a lot of knitting. So this pattern, this project rather, is going to be the focus of my knitting for the next July, August, September, 3.5 months. I'm almost tempted to take bets on when I will finish it. Maybe I'll finish it sooner. 35 rows a week isn't that much. This bit here, so I cast this on what day are we today? Wednesday. I cast this on Monday possibly, and I've already done this is about 40 to 45 rows. I can't quite remember, I did count this morning. So that's only taken me, and that's not knitting constantly, that's just evening and early morning knitting. So we will see. But the material it's making is beautiful. There's a very slight halo to it because of the alpaca. Don't know if you'll be able to see that. It's so soft, so lightweight, which is exactly what I was looking for. I'm not 100% sure how well the dark blue will go with the dark green, but frankly, I don't really mind. As my friend Sarah said, I'll get a lot more wear out of this afterwards than I would do with something that's not my usual colours. So I'm really happy with this. It's such a lovely project. Maybe next time I record I'll be going, oh, this is such a slog, but at the moment enjoying it and just working with this yarn that I have almost seen from start to finish. That's kind of the feel you get when you go and see a yarn mill in motion. I know exactly how this was, well, not exactly, but I know how this was spun up, where it was spun up. Yeah, it kind of makes it feel a little bit more special, on top of having had a really nice day out. So yeah, so that's the Lane's Wrap by Julie Hoover. Okay, while we're talking about John Arbon, shall I show you the other thing that I bought? So I also went to the open weekend with the thought that I might pick up some Exmoor sock yarn. I've seen a lot of that in other people's podcasts. The colour palette is beautiful, and spent quite a long time umming and ahhing about which colours to get because they were all just gorgeous. And in the end, I picked up 2.5. So here are the 2 that I have got. Beautiful colours. And here is the half. There they are together. Now, Exmoor sock, if you don't know, is so these are 50 gram skeins, 200 meters, so it is a nice sock weight. And the ball band says, embracing the characteristics of our local Exmoor sheep as a durable machine washable yarn in an array of North Devon inspired shades. So it's 60% Exmoor Blueface, 20% Corriedale, 10% Zwartbles, not pronounced quite rightly. They did tell us how to pronounce that correctly at the weekend, and it's just slightly different from that, and I've forgotten. And 10% nylon, and there's some of that is superwash. The Exmoor and the Corriedale is superwash. As well as being beautiful colours, the Exmoor Blueface, the 60% Exmoor Blueface, I can see those sheep almost from my window, not quite, but I live in between two sets of two areas of the UK, the Quantocks, which I can see from my window here, and Exmoor, so we're right in the middle of those two. So when I pop out onto Exmoor for a walk, maybe I have seen the sheep that make this yarn. So I just think that's really exciting. So Sarah and I both got two skeins each, and we shared this neutral. I love that colour. So let me tell you the colourways just in case you are inspired. This is the Mackerel Sky colourway. It's a sort of sea foamy colour. And this is the Dimity colourway. I don't know what that means. We cut out again. I'm obviously talking too long. Anyway, so I was just telling you the colourway names. This one is Mizzle. Got ball bands here. Yeah, Mizzle. So yeah, we had a brilliant day out at John Arbon Mills. Okay, the final, I've got two more things to talk about actually. Little bit of book talk, just to tell you what I've been reading since we last spoke. I think I may have just started this whopper of a book. Ken Follett, The Evening and the Morning. So it's the prequel to the Kingsbridge trilogy, which is about the building of a cathedral centuries ago. I can't quite remember. So those books have been published several years ago, and this one was published fairly recently, in the last 2 or 3 years, and it's set in the turn of the Dark Ages. It's the end of the Dark Ages. I loved it. I am a big fan of the Kingsbridge trilogy, and this did not disappoint. It's not everyone's cup of tea, I know that. And it's not, whoops, it's not the most literary of reads, but it's a cracking read, I can tell you that. Yeah, really good. What can I tell you, anything else about it? It's fast paced, it's quite interesting, it's quite entertaining. It would make a super TV series, the whole thing. I know that one of the original books was made into a series, which I haven't watched. Maybe I should go and watch that. But yeah, Ken Follett, The Evening and the Morning, recommend it. You can start with this and then read the other three, or you can have read the other three and then start with this. It matters not. The nice thing about this is I was reading it and reading it and reading it and thinking, what on earth has this got to do with Kingsbridge and the original books? And then it got to the bit that links it all, and I thought, oh, okay, get it. So that's that. I finished that. That's almost 900 pages, I think. It took me about 6 weeks to read that, and I finished it just this weekend gone. And I have moved on to this, American Dirt by Janine Cummins. Yeah, Janine Cummins. This has been one of those books that I've wanted to read for quite a long time. Seen it in the bookshops a lot. And yeah, so this was on my list of books to read this year. It's about a woman and her child in Mexico who are on the run after her family are killed in a cartel killing. Sorry, I'm reading the back of this, and that's not very good podcasting, is it? I'm not very far in, I'm just 40 odd pages in. Somebody described this to me as brutal but really good, and I tell you, the first few chapters, I'm on chapter 4 at the moment. The book started with a bang. It was really good and really gripped me right from the start. So yeah, brutal read, an emotional read apparently, but a really good read, and so far I am enjoying it. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I've also been listening to a few books. I was listening to Tim Spector's Spoon-Fed when I last spoke to you. I haven't got any further with that actually, just because I've been busy listening to other things. I have listened to The Year of Living Danishly by Helen Russell, which was a non-fiction work about her and her family's move to Jutland. I think that's in northern Denmark. And Helen is a journalist, and she had read that the Danes are purportedly the happiest nation on earth, and she wanted to see why that was and see whether it was true. So it was her year of research into that, and it was a really entertaining, interesting read for someone who's quite interested in Denmark and would love to go. Yeah, it sort of held its interest. It wasn't the most I don't know what the word is, menopause brain, can't think of words a lot these days, but it really kept my interest. I learnt some interesting facts about the Danes and about Denmark, and it made me even more determined that I would really like to visit there. So, and not just for the yarn shops and the knitting culture. So yeah, that was a good one to listen to. And I have also listened to a book called Summer Water by Sarah Moss, which is a fiction about, it's set in the summer on a very wet, miserable day in high summer in a holiday park around a loch in Scotland. And it's the story told from the perspective of different people who have a cabin around that loch. It was okay. It was narrated really well. I think had the narration not been so good, I wouldn't have stuck with it. it was quite atmospheric, and I think that's what the author had wanted to achieve with the book. Didn't really go anywhere right until right at the very end, and I would say I'm glad I listened to it rather than read it. As I said, had I read it, I may well have put the book down, which is a shame because it was a book that had been on my want to read list for quite a long time. But I listened to it and I enjoyed the narration, and I listened to it as I worked up here sewing my bags. So it was okay. It was okay. It would probably get, in fact, I put on my Goodreads, I think that I gave it a 3 out of 5, whereas I gave Ken Follett a 4 out of 5. Don't give 5 out of 5s very often, but so Ken did well with a 4. I think The Year of Living Danishly got a 4 as well. I haven't yet given a book, since I've been on Goodreads, I haven't given a book anything lower than a 3, I don't think. So I'm probably quite generous. Anyway, so yeah, so I've been enjoying reading. I thought I would just mention one of the apps that I use to read. So I have an Audible account, which I pay for. I pay $7.99 a month for that. In fact, I don't at the moment because I've got a free contract with a new phone upgrade that I got. But normally it's about $7.99 for 1 book a month. However, you can borrow audiobooks from your local library, here in the UK anyway, through an app called BorrowBox. So I think you have to sign up to the digital version of your local library. So mine is Somerset Libraries. And then you can go and borrow ebooks for free from your library, and you have them for 2 or 3 weeks and then you have to return them. So it is literally like a library. Sometimes the books that you want to listen to are already borrowed, in which case you can reserve them and you get an email through to enable you to download it when the reservation is, when you've reached the top of the reservation list. So yeah, so The Year of Living Danishly and Summerwater I listened to through BorrowBox. So I really recommend that if you haven't come across that before. Okay, final thing to talk about. Sorry, clapping isn't good, is it, on a podcast? Final thing to talk about is just a little bit of my shop update news. I showed you the Blue Fern Yarns collaboration, so that will be going out before the end of this month. This will be coming out on Friday this week. I'm not going to be able to get to edit it and upload it until Friday, which will be Friday the 17th of June. The 16th of June I am relisting my sheep bags in my shop, and also these bags up here. Let me just show you. I showed you these, I think, did I show you these or did I show you the fabric last time? I can't quite remember. And I asked you to come up with, I couldn't think of a name for this collection, and I asked for your help. I got some great ideas, thank you very much. In the end I went with Woodland Floor, because there's woodland creatures and mushrooms and things. So all those bags out there, they are the end of the pre-order. So if you have ordered one and haven't had your shipping notification, it's up there. I'm probably just out of camera shot are the, let me show you. The Green Fields collection. So these are the 2 bags from my latest collection in various sizes. These are both the everyday size. So if you've ordered one on a pre-order and haven't had the shipping notification, I will be posting them out Friday or Saturday this week. I've got quite a lot to go, as you can see, so I might need to do it in 2 batches, but Friday or Saturday this week they will be going in the post to you. But these will be, I've got a handful of these left in the shop, and these all sold out, so I am relisting these on Thursday the 16th of June. So by the time this comes out, that relist will be open. Along with the sheep. If these sell out again, I will get some more of the fabric in. So if you don't manage to get any this time, fear not, there will be another opportunity, because I love that fabric so very much. I thought I would also just touch on plans for the summer. So with the sheep and the woodland floral list, that sewing will take me up to maybe the middle of July. Then I thought I would do some smaller relists of that, if there's call for them. But also I've got a stash of fabric that I've been wanting to use but just not finding the time for it. So what I'm going to do over the summer months is sew up bags in the fabric from my stash and list them as I sew them. So I'm not going to have big updates like I normally do, maybe weekly, maybe an update every 2 weeks. So I will share those bags on Instagram. I will share some as I record as well, and I will also share via my newsletter, which you can sign up for. There's a link in the description box below. So my newsletter is my absolute best place to get first notification of what's coming up in my shop, and for some collections newsletter subscribers get advance warning. So like my sheep collections, I only let my newsletter subscribers know when they're coming out, just as a thank you for signing up to the newsletter. It's one of the thank yous you get. And then if there are any left after my newsletter subscribers have had their opportunity, then I will advertise that more widely through Instagram and my YouTube channel and that sort of thing. So it is worth signing up for if you want advance notice. So yeah, so over the summer I'm going to be hitting the stash, sewing up bags from my stash and listing them as I make them. I've got a few things up my sleeve as well, which I hope will come to fruition towards the end of the summer, but I'll keep you posted on that. Okay, that's everything that I've got to talk about today. If you have enjoyed this episode and if you've made it all the way to the end, thank you so much. Give me a like, hit the like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you want to you don't want to miss out on future videos. I will be back in July. I'd really like to record more frequently than I'm doing. And my husband goes up to London once a week now for his work. So maybe I'll try. I'm not going to record once a week, but maybe if I could get a shorter podcast out every couple of weeks, maybe that would be a good thing to do. We'll see. I might try and give that a go. Although, having said that, my daughter is home from university in a couple of weeks for the summer, and she lives in that room right through there. And I will feel really self-conscious if she's just there, just the other side of that wall. So we'll see. Although she's hopefully going to be getting a job over the summer and she's got some visits planned, things like that, so she won't be around all the time. And also maybe she might be doing a little bit of work for Eldenwood Craft over the summer. I'm not sure about that. It depends if she can get a job, a more cool job, somewhere she wants to work. But I could certainly do with a hand fabric cutting and interfacing and posting and things like that. So there is work for her, and that would mean that I can make even more bags and make some progress on the things that I want to bring to the shop. Anyway, I'm going to end it there, so thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you are all well, and I hope you have a good few weeks of making. So until I see you again, goodbye.